Flowcharts by Kyle Josephson and Savannah Dattel. So what is a flowchart? A flowchart is a visual diagram of a process or a set of processes. The visual part is represented by shapes, lines, and text. The processes can be anything. It could represent an assembly line in a factory. It could represent how a fireman is supposed to put out a fire. More commonly in today's environment, flowcharts are used to represent how a software program is supposed to operate. A little history about flowcharts. In the 1920s, a couple of industrial engineers pictured here, named Frank and Lillian Gilbreth, came up with a system called the flow process chart. They presented their system to the ASME, or the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. They used the system to document the business process. Through the 1930s and 40s, business owners used the flow process chart to improve business and to make them more efficient. In 1947, the system was improved by adding symbols to make the process better. Also in the 1940s, these two gentlemen, named Herman Goldstein and John Van Neumann, pictured here, used flowcharts to develop computer programs. Flowcharts soon became popular for many computer programs and algorithms of many different types. They are still used today for computer programs. So how are the flowcharts used for programming? It's all about the shapes. The shapes of a symbol represent certain kind of process. For example, the diamond means a decision needs to be made, usually yes or no. A rectangle means a process is going to happen. The chart on the screen has further examples. To connect the symbols, we use lines, usually in one direction, to show how the flow process from one shape to another. The shapes and lines have text on them to describe what process is going on in the program. Some of the upsides of using these charts are these. As you can see, the flowchart is a very versatile tool and can be used for many different things. It also helps different people in different ways. For example, a software engineer may use the flowchart for a map of the software and to help keep it organized. A software manager might use the same flowchart to manage a project or estimate the cost of that project. One thing a flowchart is great at is keeping clear communication. Some disadvantages to the flowchart are these. Most of these downsides are because of management of the flowchart itself. It is also because the people using the flowchart really do not want to use it. They think it is an extra work project that needs to be done. A lot of times the flowchart is created after the program has been written. A flowchart needs to be managed, but can make a great tool for keeping organized and communicating. It is worth the effort to manage the flowchart. Also, the flowchart itself for large projects can get very complicated.
Okay, so now we will demonstrate using a flowchart. This image is a flowchart of the Who Were You application. The chart starts with the user, which then goes to an account. If the user does not have an account for the application, then we will follow the line that says No, and then create an account, sign in, and have the option to handle account settings and sign out. If the user does have an account, we will follow the line that says Yes and sign in. We also have the option to adjust account settings and sign out. From sign in, we follow the line to the OR symbol. This allows us to either start with a journaling project or a journaling entry. For the purposes of this demonstration, we will start with a journaling project. If the user does not have a journaling project, then we follow the line that says No and create a project. From here, we were able to decide to add other members to the project, and we were able to create a journal entry. This entered data all goes to the server storage service and then the database to be stored. If the user has already created a journaling project, we follow the line that says yes and create a journaling entry, which is sent to server storage service and then the database to be stored. After creating an entry, we were able to view, search, edit, delete, and share the journal entry from the database. We are now going to go back and follow the other option from the OR symbol after signing in, which is journal entry. From here, if the user has not made a journal entry or would like to make a new one, we follow the line that says no and create a journal entry. This will be sent to the server storage service and then the database to be stored. If the user has made journal entries, we can follow the lines that say yes to view, search, edit, delete, and share the journal entry from the database. We will now go over the different options available after creating a journal entry in more detail. If the user requests to view a journal entry, it sends that request and pulls the data from the server storage service, which pulls it from database storage. The same process happens if the user searches for an entry. If the user requests to edit an entry, it sends that request and pulls the data from the server storage service, which pulls it from database storage. This is then returned to the user, who makes the desired edits, which are saved and sent back to the server storage service, and then the database to be stored. If the user requests to share their journal entries, we follow the line to an OR symbol, which allows the users to choose to share to Facebook, Instagram, Family Search, and other users. This completes the demonstration of using a flowchart to show the Who Were You application. We will now move on to recommendations of when to use a flowchart. As you can see by the list of bullet points, there are many times that a flowchart is recommended. The most common recommendations for using a flowchart is for visual representation of programming, algorithms, and different physical systems. They are also recommended because they can be used for more than one purpose. They can help estimate project cost. They make complicated processes easier to understand. They help with decision making, and they help find and address software errors. Flowcharts are wonderful visual tools that are very beneficial to use in design development process of an application. This concludes our presentation on flowcharts. The next two slides contain our works cited sources, which are followed by our 2 slides of test questions. Thank you.